Hey guys, here is the gear. We've got Fake Yellow Light soap from Declaration Grooming, and it's the Milksteak base. Gillette Silver Blue with maybe 10 or so uses on it. We're going to put that inside Michael Friedberg's, got it on loan to me, the Fine Aluminum Slant. Very light razor, and I enjoyed the shave with it last time until I got toward the end of it, and it started to get a little aggressive for me, and it's possible that might happen again, but that's why I picked a blade with 10 uses on it, or it may have 11. My dots may be a little inaccurate, but you can look at the description if you're curious as to the exact number. And so we have this 1250 from Semogue. It's the Excelsior series, and so this is the, the 1250 is the best grade if you're in Excelsior. All right, it's been soaking, and it has, it is a part of my Boarathon rotation, and let me show you my little sheet of paper. It's the brush that has the lowest number of uses, and so we're going to catch him up a little bit. You can see over here with the 1305 and the 1800, I've started to do the hairdryer treatments on it, on those brushes, and I'll do 5 of those before I use it one more time here, and then we're going to get all these other brushes to that same point, try to get them kind of even, and that'll be fun to watch them go through the hairdryer. It's kind of a gentle hairdryer treatment. I hold it far away. I use warm and not hot, but I use high speed, but just the warm temperature, and it seems to be doing a good job. I've got this Omega. Yesterday I said that it was a 48 and it was really a 49, or I said it was a 49, it was a 48, but the good news is the description of the video and the text underneath in the comments and stuff say the right thing. So my video, my voice may have been wrong. I did another hairdryer treatment on this guy. You can see he's just getting more and more splits. All right, he's the one I'm going to just hairdryer the heck out of, right? All right, so we are ready to put the blade in the razor, and this is one I found a great deal on the set. This Fake Yellow Light, I bought a sample of it, and it was a very faint sample. And then all of a sudden, I see the set, the soap, the splash, and the cologne. And it was for a really good price. And so I bought it, very grateful to have that opportunity, because this is not one that I've seen around very much on the used market. I don't know, it just doesn't seem to be going off the shelves, or when it does, maybe the guys are just wanting to keep it. And I can see why, because I wore the cologne the other day, really enjoyed it, and the soap smells really good, and this kind of has some different nuances to it, so that'll be fun to use that as a post shave today. I chose that little Boar brush. It's not a dense brush, it's not scratchy at all. It's very soft and comfy, because this guy does have the potential to give me a little bit of irritation. Now he's aluminum, and he just feels so light. It is a big change for anybody who uses kind of heavy razors. So one of the differences you may feel as you're shaving with a light razor, like an aluminum razor, is that you have to pull the razor through the hair sometimes. Now, one of the good things is it's nimble. Oh man, it just feels like you feel like you've been working out. You feel so strong when you're using one of these, and there's the silver blue, when you're using one of these guys, because you can just whip it around like it's nothing, because it weighs nothing, virtually. Just taking my time with it. Michael has sent the washer along with it, and so I'm gonna keep using the washer. I don't think I have the head aligned in a way that there we go. The base plate, the safety bar here, I was aligning, I think my brain was aligning my handle as I was coming in with the safety bar, but of course it's tilted because it's a slant razor. And so that's why the threads weren't grabbing. And of course, this is aluminum, so you don't want to torque down the handle really hard on these guys. All right. This is, I think, a brand new soap. Man, I can't tell it's been used at all. Oh man, just nice bass notes. You know, kind of woody and nothing punchy, nothing bitter or sudden about it. Yeah, I think he said it came from the lyrics of one of his favorite songs or something, and he really spoke highly of the scent. He was proud of it, and I sure do enjoy what I'm smelling right now. And it seems like it's going to give me a little bit more juice than the little tiny sample did, and hopefully that's the case. And also today we're going to start with the dry loading series. I have rarely ever dry loaded, meaning that you don't use the brush nearly as wet as you might normally. You even squeeze the water out of it. Now there's a little dude right there in my brush. What is he? I don't know. Sorry about that. And so normally in my videos you'll see me shake out water and to a point where I would call it lightly wet. No, I don't shake until no drops are coming out, but just it's definitely got some water in there. It'll develop a slurry when I start working it on the soap, right? Let's take a little step beyond because I'm curious. I want to see if it offers me something different than my current load method. Now, one of the reasons why I do the lightly wet thing, you can shortcut your lathers a little bit by leaving a little bit more water in your brush, because then when you load in your soap and then when you go to the bowl or your face, you've already got some more water in the brush that's able to combine with your soap to kind of head start your lather, and then you don't have to add more later. Of course, that makes sense, right? Well, I communicate to you guys how much soap I'm using, either by load time or by the scoop amount. Then I can tell you guys how much water in milliliters or teaspoons I've used for the shave. And I do that so that any new guys or guys that are having trouble with their lathers, I can give them kind of a basic recipe for any particular shave that I've done. And it may not be, I never share that in the sense of this is what you need to do or this will give you great results, but this is an approximation. And if you're eyeballing it or guesstimating in a certain direction, you find that you're way off of these numbers, then maybe try these numbers and see if it puts you in the right place or close to it. That's my intention there. And so that's why I leave a little bit of water in the brush. It's just more convenient that way. But let's try the dry loading. And so I'm going to give that guy a good squeeze. And so he is drier than I usually have him. I have found in the past that when loading, it seems like some water is necessary to kind of mix with the top layer of the soap to then be able to pull the soap up out of the hard nature of it in the tub and transform it, have it start to emulsify in the water so that it can then stay on the brush for you to then use. So will I have to load longer when dry loading because it's harder to pull up that soap? Let's just give that a shot. Let's load for 45 seconds this time, which is a lot longer than I usually do. Now this is a new tub and sometimes I have to add, even with my old method, I have to add more time because it's a new tub, but you got to start somewhere. Let's try 45 seconds. All right, and 20 is going to roll around 25. That sounds good. So yeah, we don't have a lot of water immediately coming into the soap, but we do see the white little kind of a thick paste starting to form there. Okay, if I start at 25 and I want to go to 45, then that's 10 seconds on the next minute. Yeah, it's very pasty. The brush is moving slowly. Now, the good news is it looks like this method's not going to cause that little slurry here to overflow. And so I should, oh man, you know what? I may have loaded a ton of soap here. Look at that. That looks like a lot of soap. Maybe my assumption was wrong, and maybe I'll need to load less if I do a dry load method. It could vary per soap too. If it was a hard puck soap, it may be different. That'll be fun to play around with, right? Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think I need to clean off the threading of the tub here. Oh yeah, that's just good. That's good. You should be able to look in the description if you're curious about the scent notes on this. Now, as we're starting to bring this together into a lather, of course, it's going to get pasty pretty quickly. And so it's not going to start coming up into a lather because we just have that kind of dry paste. And that's just fine. Now, before I continue on with this, I'm going to get my face wet. So, in little cigar news, I got a sampler in of cigars that are about $1 each, and looking forward to trying more of those. I've tried 2 of those already, and I'm very encouraged because it seems like you can get a good cigar for about $4 each. And some people might classify that as a daily smoke kind of price point, but not me. I can't afford $4 a day, even if I only smoke on the weekdays, you know. But for about $8 or $10, I think you could get a really good tasting cigar. You know, more toward the premium, and then of course, crazy expensive cigars that are just, it's just nuts how much they cost. And so I'm not going to dwell or even worry too much about anything higher than that. But right around the $1, maybe $2 range is kind of what I'm investigating. I'm very encouraged by 2 that I have sampled from this particular pack. Because just like sterling soap, maybe there are some cigars out there who have very nice flavor, but just maybe don't have the kind of the brand name and the posh reputation or exclusivity or something like that that the Cohibas and the Monte Cristos do. And I don't even know any of the other really expensive cigar brands. I'm just starting out at this. Now, right away, we can see that a little bit of water and we get what looks to be a very rich lather. Let's definitely add more water. About a 24-hour shave is what we're looking at. Will my cigar use affect my nose? Will it affect my smelling of shaving scents? That's an interesting question. I don't bring it into my nose, and so maybe that can help prevent any altering of my smellability. Yeah, the lather looks terrific. It kind of looks like I have loaded more soap than usual. Very much enjoying a little bit of spice, some earthy notes. Yeah. Oh yeah, just nice. It's been a while since I've worked up some Milksteak. The kind of slickness and the kind of feel it brings is nice, but to me, it's, I don't know, it just hasn't really resonated with me very well. I mean, it performs nicely. I mean, it's a top-tier soap, right? But just because it's top-tier for a lot of guys, you know, doesn't mean it's going to match everybody, right? And so while I do like it, it's almost a fuzzier kind of lather than I prefer. Especially since there's just so much competition. There's, you know, so many other bases out there that work really well. All right, now, does that mean that the appearance of that lather just looks really nice? Now, I think I made a note once that I can go ahead and make sure this is well hydrated. Yeah, we're already in the 27 milliliters zone in terms of water we're adding. Although that makes sense because, remember, I'm having to add back in because that's water that wasn't in the brush. And so maybe that's not an excessive amount of water. You know, if I take away what I think might have been in the brush, then, you know, that might be a reasonable amount of water. Well, one thing you won't get when you're doing this type of dry loading is you won't get that bubbly, airy, slurry at the beginning. Some people may not like that. I find a lot of times if you get that, as long as you've loaded enough soap, all you have to do is just work it and it'll come together. Those bubbles will just gradually disappear as everything kind of works into the good emulsion. Yeah, that looks really nice. Let's just see if that is what I want. A little bit more water on my face. The little nagging reservation I have about Milksteak might probably involve maybe some of the different additives that he put in over like the bison or something that are meant to help it to have good moisturizing properties. You know, that might be kind of what my problem is with it. Now, you saw how the lather looked, and look what's going on now. It's kind of emptying out of my face, the brush there. Did the brush have more water in it that I just managed to not really combine with the lather? Maybe. Let's just get more lather. Maybe that appearance of the lather with all that nice fluidity, maybe for this particular soap, maybe that is not a good point to get to. Maybe I need to stop before I get there. Just play around with it. This is surely the opposite of some people's preferences. It's a easy flow through. Not very much backbone at all. Boar brush and kind of a small knot. There are guys who like the opposite of all those things. They like the badgers, big knot, high backbone, that kind of thing. All right, do I have, oh yeah, I got some dude right there. All right. I think we've spent enough time working it on my face. Usually I like to do it a little bit more, but I've got some packing to do tonight to visit the kids. Okay, so in case I forget to tell you later, 28 milliliters. How about that? All right, fine accoutrements. Very light, but the handle's nice. And I like the way they've taken the bottom end of it here and made it a little wider. And so if this does kind of slip out of your hand because it's so light, you'll feel it and know to go ahead and grab a hold of that. I don't know if that'll be a problem, but it's nice to know just in case. Now you have to watch it with a slant because the slant is not aligned like you might be used to. A little bit of blade feel. Now some slants will have, what is that? Some slants will have a nice sense in the first pass and feel like they're doing a great job and you're all comfy and stuff. But then when you get to the third pass, or sometimes maybe just after the shave, you realize that they were slowly building up a little bit of irritation. This is kind of slippery when it's wet and soapy, but because of the enlarged end there, I'm confident that it's not going to fall out of my hands. But just pay attention to that as you're, shaving. This may not be a good razor to have in the shower. All right, there we go. Definitely some blade feel, but I didn't feel any tugging. It felt like it moved through the hairs nicely, and I could possibly end up with no irritation at the end. So we'll just see. A little water for kind of a rinse. So that on the brush looked pasty and looked like I was going to have a lot of concentrate, which means I'm going to have a lot of real lather, but I don't think I'm going to end up with a ton of excess here. And so maybe that 45 seconds was a good first guess after all. Cross grain now for the second pass. I could definitely tell. I could tell when I rinsed because I could feel that there just wasn't very much hair, that the razor did do a very good job of taking down the stubble. So this doesn't seem to be a slant that feels aggressive, right away. To me, at least. I do feel like I could generate some irritation if I wasn't careful. Maybe I took some strokes in the wrong direction. Get everything. So that's the second pass down. And water. So do you have to rinse completely between passes? That's subjective. It's up to you. You don't have to. Some people don't even put any water on their face between passes. They just lather up again. I used to rinse pretty much fully, but then I realized, wait a minute. I'm clearing away the stubble and it's really gone. I don't really need to clear away all the soap because I'm going to be using soap in just a second to work on the next pass. So then I just kind of started doing what I called a half rinse, which is just a kind of a partial. Well, this is a wet lather. You can kind of see the lather flying around, but it's doing a great job of protecting, and it's very, very slick. The razor's moving well. And now I feel even less stubble to work on here. Maybe bringing in an older blade has made this, and this has happened to me many times before, where I bring in an older blade to a razor that is often kind of aggressive to me, and it tames the beast. I don't feel any irritation right now. I still feel the blade angle, the blade edge, and so that does make me wary about my technique. I don't want to get kind of complacent. I don't want to try a full-on ATG. I think that would probably be a mistake at this point against the grain, you know. I think that's going to be it. Now, sometimes when a razor feels like this, I don't actually get a close shave because I'm trying to be careful and not give myself irritation, and so then I end up not working areas as much as they need to be worked. So let's do a good rinse and just take a look at what we have here. But before we do that, we've done 3 passes. So that was 45 seconds of loading with a squeezed out brush. And we've still got enough lather. I bet I could squeeze out 2 passes of what's left. 1 very generous pass, but probably 2, maybe even 2 generous passes. So that's kind of about what I like to hit. And so at least on a brand new tub with no moisture kind of built into it, the tub of soap, looks like 45 seconds with this particular brush is about right. Now, if I'll use this same tub tomorrow, and therefore the little bit of water that's now in there is going to help me not have to load for as long. But that's an interesting point. I just learned something. I talk a lot about the kind of moisture momentum is one of the ways I say it, where when you, let's say you load from a soap with my method or anything with more moisture, then you leave behind some moisture at the top of the soap for the next day. And then that moisture makes it easier to pull soap up. And so let's say you loaded for 30 seconds one day, maybe the next day, 25 seconds is going to give you the same amount of lather. Maybe the next day, 21 seconds, going to give you the same amount of lather. Maybe next day, you can keep bringing it down until it levels out, right? And I've seen that happen on multiple soaps, hard soaps as well as soft ones. And maybe with this method of kind of a more dry load, maybe that would be reduced. That effect wouldn't be as easily seen because you're introducing less water to the soap when you load. Who knows? All right, so face feels pretty good right now. I don't feel any irritation, so that's a win. The only thing would be that make it not a win is if I had plenty of stubble left here that needed work. I was just checking out the closeness here, and I'm still comfortable, so that's great. I think that's a great result for this razor, and I feel good about it. I think there's some length that I can see in a few tips, you know, and so but I think your average person is able to go against the grain. And boy, does that clear up a lot of problems. I'm not able to do that on my neck, sensitivity issues and all that stuff. And so you're just not going to have a problem at all, I believe. You just tighten up that skin and go against the grain, and you're just in great shape. But even with me, with 2 cross-grained passes there with that, I still got a happy shave. Makes me good. So there we go, and you can tell it was a wet lather because we've got wounds everywhere. So very good. That was a good use of the slant today. Now it, you know what? The thing about some slants, and a good many slants from my experience, is that they often surprise you with how well they're holding the blade because they put that torsion on the blade. Now this one keeps the blade, it twists it before you get to the edge, and so by the time you're at the edge, it's actually back to being flat. And I did feel a little bit of insecurity with the edge as it was moving along. So there are, I think maybe the Maggard slant is a little bit more stable, a little bit more held together for whatever reason. But you can see the middle track here is not very wide, and so you don't have a lot of blade support from the bottom. Many slants don't have to worry about that because, like I said, of the way they twist the blade. But there we go. The Gillette Silver blue is a blade that works well for me in many razors. All right. And again, holding these little pieces, it's crazy. They're just so light. It's like you're playing with some child's toy or something. Not a real razor, but you know, one of the benefits of aluminum is the corrosion factor. Stainless steel can still rust eventually. Aluminum, no. So that's one of the reasons I've seen people flock to the aluminum. I would imagine some people like it because of the weight. They like something that's super light. All right, the brush did great today. Nice soft feel. I rinsed it out. And this is their best quality, and I can definitely see that it's different than the little 1438 I used before, which is the extra grade that they have. And this one's best. And there we go. That's what he looks like when he is stropped on a towel. I'm not going to blow dry him because that will come later after the 26th use or 27th use, something like that. But speaking of that, let's put him aside and good. He's now got 25 uses, so one more and he catches up to a lot of his brothers. I had let him fall behind because I saw all these brushes in the list, and I thought, I think I need to drop some brushes because I'm never going to get to a great Boar place, you know, the Boarvana. Okay, there we go. We put it right there. We're never going to get to Boarvana if we have to go so slowly, if we have a big rotation. That is the main impetus behind me using a hairdryer, using an accelerator method. I had tried long soaks, and they work some, and they're very safe, but they weren't working fast enough. So I decided to bump it up a little bit. And so there we go. Maybe next time I could use the Omega 80266, because I do like to let a day of rest go between uses. I mean, I could go the 1250 back to back. I got a feeling once we start to do the hairdryer treatments, that's going to negate any small differences anyway. So I could do whatever I wanted. Now, the scent on that soap, I am smelling it right now. It's resident. As I think back to the shave, I don't remember it being a hugely noticeable part of the shave. I think I just remember enjoying it. It being, and it's kind of a low strength scent. That not strength, but its profile. You know, it doesn't have any bitter citrus notes that jump out at you and punch you around. It doesn't have any kind of high florals that mess with you, or a little bit of the heavy ouds that make you go, oh, that's thick, you know, or a punchy cedar. It doesn't have any of that jumps up at you. It kind of stay, and I love the ones that are kind of mild and stay low and or more nuanced, and that definitely seems to be what this one is. Yeah, that's the smell from the tub here of the pasty. It's exactly what I smelled during the shave. I really like that. But I don't think it's going to last you too long beyond the shave. And that's okay, because most soaps just don't anyway. So let's try the splash here. This is probably one that has a little bit of witch hazel mixed in, so don't shake it vigorously. Kind of just shake it gently is the advice I've been given. If you've got good advice from authority that counters that, please put it in the comments. And so I hope that this is one that Scott, I think it is, where he released it without putting menthol in it. He would send the menthol separately. And that's great, because I don't need the menthol at all. I mean, I'd probably be okay with, you know, one drop in a whole bottle or some small amount like that. That is a different scent. It's less sweet. There's some spice that's stepping forward a little bit more. It's not like frankincense or anything like that. Almost like a cinnamon. Something around that vein, but it's not. So, slightly different nuance. And of course, the aftershave here is a little bit layered as well. It's possible that it's going to release a certain top note right now, and then a lot of times they mellow out into their woody bass notes and you know, that kind of thing. And that's pretty often the case. But again, a splash isn't designed to last all day either. It's supposed to last a little bit longer than the soap, maybe a few hours. But if you want long, then you got to go for the cologne, the EDP or the EDT. And I don't think I'll put that on tonight because it is nighttime and I don't want to waste the EDT. I'll put it on some morning when I've got a nice day to enjoy it. I think I'm going to be able to, oh yeah, the woody, some woody. Oh, I believe there's some fur or something like that in there, but it's calmed down a little bit. You know, some pine or fir or something like that with a warm spice in there. But it's not a warm, sweet spice. So maybe if there's vanilla in there, it's not very much at all. Neat. I think I like the soap scent a little bit more than this note that I'm getting at the very front of the splash. But this splash, like I said, is also likely to change a little bit. And so we'll see what it settles down to. Cap it back up, and there we go. All right, so just to recap, talking about caps all of a sudden now, I do have just a hint of irritation right around here, but that's kind of been standard with a lot of my razors, and so I don't fault the aluminum slant or its perhaps aggression. I wouldn't say that. So I think it's really nice. I did feel a little bit of the blade chatter and movement as I was using it. And so that is something that I often will move away from, because razors like the Wolfman come just right up to the edge with that blade support on the bottom. And even got a vintage one like this Sheraton, and the blade support on the bottom goes all the way up to the edge because of this open comb. That's just a great way to go. The vintage short comb also has it right up to the very edge. It's not on the comb like that other one. The Rocket here, look at that. See that bevel right there, right before those slots? That is holding the blade edge right there. Just great clamping. That's why it's a wonderful razor. So this find did feel a little bit different from those type of experiences. And so especially because this is an expensive razor, I do not feel the need to gravitate toward to try to keep an eye out for this kind of razor for my collection because of the expense, and then it's a little bit too light for my preferences, and then the blade feel is a little bit less certain than I usually like. It wouldn't be a problem if it were the only razor around. No problem, I'd enjoy it. But since we just have so many good choices, and tell you what, guys, this is the new short comb, and you can get these on eBay sometimes for, you know, 15 bucks, 20 bucks for this one and 3 other razors. So I think it represents one of the best bargains out there for a good clamping razor. I think it did start out a little too much for me when I was early on, and my technique wasn't very good, but I love it now. And this is the common bar handle that it often comes with. Sometimes it'll come with the old type handle. All right, I'm enjoying the scent. Right along lines of what I like. It's kind of in a little cloud around me. So we talked about the razor. The brush did great. Something did flush out the lather at first. You know what? My goatee's a little long. It could have also held some water and added that to the first pass. But everything worked out. Went back and got more lather. I had plenty in the bowl to last the whole shave. We're all good there. I felt like, and so I don't know exactly what whether the lather was on point, because I don't know what overhydrated it for that first pass. If it was water in my goatee, then I think the lather in the bowl was perfect. But if it was in the bowl and it was just a little deceptive, then maybe I need to back off on the water a little bit. So great successful first test for the dry loading type method. And nice, right? Advantage is you don't have the overflow from the tub. You don't have to go wash your tub or rinse it off. Of course, if you've got a sink, it's not really a big deal, right? I did load longer, but we'll use it more and figure out if it really usually means a longer load, and that could change per brush. Like I said, it could change per soap. Will the dryer method give you some better visual cues as to when, like if you don't want to count seconds or something? I have a little camera right there with the time going by. So for me, it's always easy to stop after 30 seconds. But since you guys don't broadcast your shaves, right? You may not want to, it may not be any fun for you to sit there and count 30 seconds, you know? And that's a valid point. Or could there be visual cues with that pastiness that help you out? That could be something to look out for. Maybe those cues are more reliable than the cues you might get with some water in your more water in your brush. And it didn't have, you know, that early bubbliness that we do see. Some people might like that, to start out with something a little thicker and then just gradually move it in and develop it more as a lather, instead of dealing with the airy bubbliness that will eventually go away if you keep working it, but you know, that's your preference. Well, there we go. Good successful first test with the dry loading method, I think. Gonna enjoy this scent as I pack and stuff. And again, what did I say? 27 milliliters. Yeah, 27 milliliters of water used. And I'm a happy camper. Irritation? No. So there we go. Even happier about that. The face feels good. Nice close shave. My skin feels soft. That splash is not an alcohol only type splash. It's got that, probably some witch hazel in it, probably some other ingredients to help your skin feel nice and kind of healthy, is kind of how my skin feels right now. So there we go. Thank you so much for watching. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves, and I hope this one has some good information, something for you to help you out in your shaving journey. Take care now. Good night.